Welcome back. And of course, it's now time to start that very conversation we've been talking about. Let me bring you up to speed with this particular one. Remember, we are still having the issue of fierce scarcity, but that's on the other part of the program. But yesterday, a constitution amendment bill to improve women representation in parliament through the introduction of what they call special seat scale second reading. The House was divided on that over this particular bill. Remember that there were issues as well in the other assemblies where 5 gender bills were rejected. They include the bill for special seats for women at the National Assembly, bills seeking affirmative action for women in political administration, bill to grant citizenship to foreign-born husbands of Nigerian women, just like they do for the men as well, bill to allocate 35% political positions based on appointment of women and creation of additional seats in the National Assembly, bill to also include 10% affirmative action in favor of women in ministerial appointments. So all of these bills were thrown out in the last assembly. They call them gender bills, as it is called. But what exactly is going on now? As a background, the highest political office a woman has ever attained in Nigeria is the Speaker of the House. That's Patricia Ete. We've seen people like Sarah Jibrin trying to be president and going to primaries, and sometimes she's the one voting for herself. So what exactly is going on with women representation as far as politics is concerned? Is the first leg of our conversation. We'll be joined in the program by a member representing the Kotakbene Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Mr. Patrick Umar. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Umar, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, my brother.
All right, Mr. Umar, I'm almost tempted to ask. I read through some of the bills that were rejected in the Constitution amendment in the last assembly, were literally thrown out. I'm tempted to ask, is it that men hate women? What is this really all about? Maybe you can help us explain before we come to the current one. Well,
first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for having me in your program. I wasn't part of the 9th Assembly, but I'm part of the 10th House of Representatives. And I know for a fact that some of these bills that were thrown out, some have been represented in the House for consideration. And incidentally, I chair the House of Reps Committee on Legislative Agenda, and the core priority area of our agenda is inclusion, open parliament and inclusion, which particularly relates to gender issues and all of that. Now, yesterday was a wonderful day. We had a bill that was presented on the floor of the House seeking to alter the provisions of Section 48 and 49 of our Constitution to allow special seats for women in Parliament. And for me, my take on all of this is that this is not where the problem lies. I feel simply that the more we accentuate the issue of maybe providing special seats for women in the National Assembly, the more we reduce competitiveness on the part of women. It is, for me, derogatory to provide special seats for women. I feel we should allow them compete favorably as it is. As a law teacher, I recall when I had female students and male students in the same class, and the female students beating even the males. And so I feel we should rather advance for equal opportunities for all genders, because it sounds undemocratic to assign special seats to a particular sex or class. I just feel it should be a general point. We should allow women enjoy the same level of participation as men. If you go to polling units, for instance, in Nigeria, you find more women in polling units. And the mobilization can be thick, coming from the background of women. But then if you allow it that you have special seats for them, you reduce the excitement for competitiveness. It is even derogatory to allow that to happen. So I feel that, yes, it's scaled through second reading. We should actually also allow Nigerians to air their opinions when we have the public hearing of the bill. That's why we allowed it as a House. But I feel from a personal point of view that to accentuate this issue of special seats for women is actually derogatory to women.
All right, Honorable Moore.
But rather we should allow them participate actively in politics.
And, all right, so are you saying you don't...
A level playing ground for all sexes.
So for you, this bill should be thrown out.
It is better. Okay. It is better to incentivize. opportunities for women in terms of mobilization and all of that by political parties. It shouldn't be taken to the height of altering the constitution.
All right, no, but if I may button, if you can hear me. So a straight question in this one. So you will, if you have your way, this bill should be thrown out. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, I have my way, and the way that I have is I'd rather project these on appointive positions for women, like maybe the Federal Executive Council. We are trying to reduce the cost of governance. So providing additional seats in Parliament for a special class is, apart from being anti-democratic, it is also going to heighten the cost of governance. I don't think that's the problem we have in our country today. We just have the problem of curbing poverty, hunger, unemployment, and all much more serious issues than providing seats for women.
All right, so that people understand what they mean by this issue of improving women representation through the introduction of special seats. What do they mean by special seats here? Is it that new constituencies will be created, and those will be exclusive for women, or among the constituencies we have as federal constituencies and the Senate, certain constituencies within the already existing ones should be given to women, just like we have, I think, in the PDP, where they have ad hoc delegates. The law in that says that 2 will be men and 1 a woman in that mix. At least that's the representation, at least 1 woman among the 3 ad hoc delegates. So is that a position, creating new ones, or reserving something for women in the already existing one? What is it?
No, from the lead debate or the sponsors of the bill, the position is that they want the creation of special seats per state across the federation, including the FCT, and also creating special senatorial seats for women in the Senate. Additionally, having 76 additional seats to 360, and also in the Senate, that's adding up with 109 that's already existing in the Senate. That's what the sponsors of the bill are propagating, which is why I'm saying we don't need to create more seats, more special seats for a particular class. Rather, we should advocate for equality. We should advocate for gender equality.
Okay. Just before I bring in my next guest on this one, how many members are there, women, in the House of Representatives? I know the Senate has 4. How many do we have in the House of Reps?
Well, I can't get the exact number right here, but I think
it's less than 20.
About 6 or so.
I know it's less than 20.
Or more.
Okay. All right. We're also being joined on the program by former country director of Action Aid Nigeria and rights activist, Ms. Ene Obi. She joins us via Zoom. Madam Obi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
All right, so they say brevity is the soul of wit, according to Shakespeare. So we'll hit this as quickly as possible. The Honorable has said that his position is clear that because of the cost of governance and all of that, there is no point creating additional seats. In his understanding, what the proponents of the bill are saying, for the Senate, let more seats be created. For the House of Reps, let more seats be created. And those seats should be exclusively reserved for women. Do you agree with that position?
I want to say a big thank you, first of all, for putting this on Politics Today, and also to say my gratitude also to the House of Representatives, to the Speaker, because for the first time this year, for the first time in a very long time, and the International Women's Day was celebrated by the Speaker himself, and also the Senate was involved, on March 8th. And we talked about the bills, and we were promised that the bills were going to be represented, and I can see the signs. So I want to say a huge thank you for the nearly 100 members of the House of Representatives that have, put this bill forward, not even waiting for us to agitate like we did, a very massive protest 2 years ago, asking for the 5 gender bills. We have come down, in discussions with them as well to say, okay, let's just come together instead of the 5 bills, presenting 1 bill. And I'm happy that, or excited that the honorable member mentioned, his own excitement about the fact that they are very, very sensitive towards gender inclusion. We should talk about, we are not talking of affirmative action, because what this bill is about affirmative action. And this is a moment in time, I can tell you that, for many members to get up to start, putting this bill through the way they have gone. I want to commend them, and I hope that they walk through. In the original bill, when we presented the 5 bills, one of it was a special seat, and that special seat was even 111. It was 111, and that is that, the 36 states were supposed to have additional, every senatorial zone, will have one additional. But now we have come down, the way they have put the bill is 37 seats, in terms of, for the whole of the country. In each state, you have one bill, one seat where women only will contest for. In other climes, that's what they have done. They have insertion in terms of their constitution to ensure that women representation is there. What we're having in the country, we just need to remind ourselves that in 14 houses of assembly, there is not a single woman in the houses of assembly. Some you have just 1 or 2 or 3, and so on. And so issues of women are being discussed without women. How do you know what it is to be a woman? And then we're having committees, women committees being chaired by men, membership is by men, decision is by men. How do we move forward when you have committees, a segment of your population not being, there? And when we talk about this is about affirmative action. The Federal Character Commission was created in order to maintain a kind of balance in the diversity of those who are going to represent, those who the decision makers, those who are, the civil servants in the country, to ensure that that is done. But when it comes to gender representation, I think, gone are the days when we did not have many educated women. Now, we have even retired judges, retired professors, and so on. So it's important for us to look at what is on ground. So I think I'm excited that, okay, let me...
All right, if I may, wait, I understand I have barely 3 minutes to wrap up this conversation. Let me see if I can drag it to 4, maybe. Just if you can give me in 1 minute on this particular one on women not showing up enough, even to get women to come on the programs, talk about this, and can be an issue. What should women do to show up at least before we begin to talk about other structural issues that militate against them? Just in 30 seconds, madam.
I think we are being blamed before we even start. I was called for this program not too long ago, and I showed up. And so many women are ready to show up. We need more training in terms of media, preparation and capacity building for women. That's true, but not to say that they won't show up. I think there is a lot of movement around that we can record women to come into in terms of coming on board. And I'm happy that the House is starting this now. We don't need to block the road before they hear our voices. But we will block if we have to. We will shut down again the National Assembly if they are not listening. But now that they are talking and they are even taking it further, this is really wonderful, and we commend them. We will stand with them and see how we need to, where we move the sessions forward.
All right, madam, I must appreciate you for coming at short notice. The reason I said that, because before we reached out, there were a couple of other calls that were not coming through. That's why. Anyway, let's get back to the Honorable. Honorable, on this particular one, I know your position on this, but sometimes it looks like a bit of tokenism in terms of, she's mentioned that sometimes even men represent women in certain capacity. So in your view, if you were to repurpose this bill, besides creating new seats, do you think that it should be dedicating seats already existing for women so that we have representation? I think it's abysmal in terms of numerics and number to have just 4 women as senators out of 104. I don't think it's fair, don't you?
I actually think it is an issue of political mobilization, and it shouldn't be an issue for constitutional alteration. It's not an issue to address for constitutional alteration. Instead, it is to reorient women to participate actively in politics. There is no law in Nigeria today that stops any woman from attaining the highest political office in Nigeria. So I feel it is an issue or a question of political mobilization, reorientation of women, and more robust engagement with the women's societies. It shouldn't be an issue for constitutional alteration, as the case may be. That's my position, sir.
All right, Honorable, I wish we had a lot more time to talk about, because the reason I use the word tokenism is because the issue of society, patriarchal issue, financial issue, there are layers of issues that women have to overcome. It's not an easy, I'm a he for she. Don't blame me for saying the things I say. We would like to see even a woman, a female
Same
president.
I'm a he for she too. I don't want to be misunderstood.
So let's support the women. I must thank you, Patrick Umar, member representing Kodekpene, Esenudim Federal Constituency, and Madam N.O.B., former country director, Action Aid Nigeria, and rights activist as well. Madam, thank you so much for always coming through at short notice. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you very much.
I'll go on a quick break now. When we come back, it will be time for us to talk about this very thorny issue of fuel scarcity. What exactly is going on? Why is this so much of a recurrent decimal, even with the blessings we have as a country in terms of reserves? We'll talk about it with the expert. Join us again.